I'm Julia.
Hi, I'm Jordan.
Good. We got that over. Let's first tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am 25 and I'm still in school working on getting my degree in psychology. I have a passion for social justice, for advocacy in general, and my two favorite things are dogs and movies.
Right. What brought you to Utah?
So
You're not a resident here.
right. I'm not a resident of Utah. I am originally from Connecticut, and I've been in school in Arizona for several years. So what brought me to Utah is that I'm in a residential treatment center to focus on self-growth in regards to my mental health, so I can push forward and better succeed in my life instead of having to take breaks every couple years because I struggle or I get overwhelmed and I shut down. So I'm hoping to find ways to learn to cope with that and to find ways to succeed even with dealing with those struggles.
I guess, what social media platforms do you currently use?
So I've tried every platform, but I only really use Twitter and Facebook, and I'm trying to start a blog, but haven't really done much with that. I did have a YouTube channel for a couple years.
What drew you to those platforms?
Well, Facebook was more about like a way to connect with friends and talk to them, even if they were like long distance. And it was really interesting because I started to, because you can post on Facebook, I started to post about things that I was struggling with when I was having a hard time. And
do you feel it helped, or do you feel it was just a way to, like, an outlet?
you know, I wanted it to help because I wanted people to know like what was really going on in my life, but because like I'd struggled for so long, after a while people got tired of reading it. And so like now I don't even post things. I just post like articles that are interesting to me, that are like, that show both sides, because I'm afraid to put my like real life out there.
Yeah.
Because, you know,
Stigma.
that, and also people only like it or love it or do whatever. And
it's
it's like,
no real connection.
right, and it's like, oh, great, you liked my photo, I guess I know like that you saw it and you thought of me for 2 seconds, but what does it really do? Like Facebook nowadays is less about corresponding with people and updating your status, is more of like, okay, I'll go on there and chat with a few friends, or like I'll go scroll through my news feed and see what's new, but like you don't really have conversations over Facebook anymore.
Yeah, it's very true. Now they have a whole entire app just to have Messenger. It used to be like on the complete website.
Yeah.
They have to like go the whole other extension just to like talk to people.
Yeah, and I mean even now there's things like Snapchat and Instagram and Reddit, and honestly I don't even understand Reddit.
Yeah, it's a different breed of social media. What about Twitter? Is there like a community you're a part of?
So I originally followed Twitter for a really
Anna Kendrick.
weird reason. Yeah, I only started at Twitter to follow my favorite celebrity, who is Anna Kendrick. But now, like, I've used it to follow like just other lesser known celebrities in TV shows that I like, or movies in general, and I also used to use it to promote my YouTube channel. I haven't been on YouTube or like recorded anything for YouTube in about like 2 years.
Is there something that you feel is stopping you from doing it?
You know, I think I felt really stuck because I've been struggling with mental health a lot recently in the past couple years, and I think my experience on Facebook, that how people got really fed up with hearing about like the not so fun things in life, that they only wanted to see like me having happy moments. That like when I started struggling, I was like, oh, I shouldn't put this on YouTube. People don't care. They don't want to know about that.
So you feel it takes like a lot of effort to portray yourself as one way that you're not always.
Yeah.
And motivation, I guess, because then it's like you have to go out of your way to feel like you have to please those people.
Right. And I originally started my YouTube channel because I wanted to be a helpful resource for other transgender individuals, because I myself am a trans male. And, you know, I just think I don't have enough of a presence compared to, like, Chase Ross or Tyler Turner, or other individuals like Luke or Alexander that are, like, trans, like, advocates, and they're known specifically for their YouTube channel. I just never got into it enough that I wanted to make it's not like I wanted to make a video every week or every day.
Yeah, and also like to gain that like interaction like with the people. Like I've heard that like a lot of people who make YouTube channels, like they don't get success overnight. They have to keep doing it as if they had that success.
Right.
So then it's like a lot harder because it's like you're working and working and doing what you should be, but then to like I don't know. I can see what you're saying. I guess.
Right. And also like I've always been scared of like people in treatment finding like my YouTube videos and like, and because it talks about how I'm trans and this is before I started hormones, like I'm afraid that people would judge me or you know criticize me or laugh at me, and emotionally,
it's not who you are, so
right?
I don't want to put that out
Right.
there.
I mean, being trans, yes, that's part of me.
That's who you are, but the old videos, like that's not who you want to be recognized.
Right. And also, in regards to my mental health, like if people that I don't want find my, YouTube videos, it's like, well, am I gonna get hate on the comments? Like,
Yeah.
and how's that gonna affect my mental health? So I've just been trying to be really cognizant of that. So I don't know, but like I said, recently I've been getting back into social media via like a blog.
Do you actually have desires for that, or do you feel like it's something you feel like you have to do?
No, I think this is something I've wanted to do for a while. I love movies, and so I want to review movies, and I think this is a safe way to kind of get reintroduced to social media, because, people can disagree or agree on whether they like a movie, but they're not personally, it doesn't feel like they're personally attacking
It's your
me.
opinion, and you can't fight someone on that.
Yeah.
I guess in your words, what is your viewpoint on social media? How do you internalize what it is and how it works?
I mean, I think social media is a really useful tool to keep in touch with people, but I think now it's just toxic because people only show you they had a fun day at the beach, or they went on this amazing trip to Alaska or Hawaii or Iceland, but they don't show you the day-to-day struggles.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's people who will say oh, there's good parts of social media and it can raise money and awareness and whatever. There's good parts of it, but I feel like the negative parts definitely outweigh the good parts. I feel like sometimes the good parts aren't even recognizable. You can argue and say that there's positive aspects of it and stuff, but I feel like the majority of it is negative, and while you can't deny that there's positive components, there's more negative than I would say.
And I think too, nowadays that we're so technologically inclined, our phones connect to the internet and they do so much more than even just regular computers could do.
Yeah. A while ago it was a privilege, and now it's just like a given.
Right. I mean, I didn't get my first phone until I was 16, and it was a flip phone.
Yeah.
Now everyone, their first phone is like
12 years old.
a smartphone.
I've seen 10-year-olds with like smartphones and like gossiping, and like it's just like, I don't know, it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
That's how they grow up.
But because we're so connected, or we have the ability to be like connected all the time, I know just like a year or two ago, I would go on Facebook whenever I was bored, which was honestly quite a lot,
Yeah.
and I would just feel so down on myself because I'd be like, oh, this person's going and doing this fun
Yeah,
thing.
it's so true. There's a lot of comparing.
Or like, oh, this person hangs out with, friends, why don't I, hang out with my friends more? And so it just caused my mental health to plummet. And I was like, social media is not worth that.
Yeah, it's good that you can recognize it though, because some people can't see that it's negative until like step back from it. And like that's very good that you can. Like most people are just like, oh, this sucks, but I'm gonna still continue like posting and like so.
Yeah, most of my newsfeed, most of what I post is literally just articles. I don't comment on the articles. I very rarely say anything. And it's like, if you would like to know this interesting piece of information and you haven't found it anywhere, here it is.
Yeah.
But like,
sharing.
you're not forced to read it or anything like that.
Yeah. How do you feel being in treatment and like your use of social media has affected your life?
Definitely when I went into treatment was when my YouTube channel stopped. Because, again, I was afraid to, portray that I was getting help for mental health, and I didn't want people to start bringing attention to that instead of the topic of being trans. And
Yeah, like what you wanted to share.
right. And so I just kind of stopped using YouTube. And so I think that greatly affected it. And for a lot of time in treatment, I wasn't allowed to have access to social media. And at the time, I was like, this is stupid. Like, I want to be able to talk to people. But honestly, like, now I barely go on social media.
And you have the choice.
Right. And I feel like I'm not comparing myself as much, and I don't feel as bad if I'm not doing the most exciting things.
Yeah. I feel like I might have asked Nico this question, but it was like, okay, but like say it was like a perfect world, and I'm not saying you have to like initiate anything and like
Right.
make it happen, but like if you could bridge the gap between like what people post, what people do, because like there's like a spectrum of like people who like post like just the glorified like great posts like of their like best times of their life. Then there's people in the middle, and there's people at the far end who just post like all these depressing things. What do you think, like, because I feel like there's people who like preach that like people aren't real and that they don't do anything, but then like they're also like they're the ones judging the people who are honest. So how do you think like that could be changed if anything was a possibility?
So, I mean, one thing with me, I have cerebral palsy, and there's not a lot of support groups out there.
Yeah.
There's almost none, and I've tried to go online and look for those forums and have conversations with people that struggle with the same thing I struggle with, and the only place I could find it was on Facebook. Facebook's like the only place for groups of
That's
people with cerebral palsy. And so I think Facebook kind of tries to bridge that gap by giving people who don't necessarily have a way to get to each other physically, like you can still get support.
Have you found use out of these groups?
I have, but also I have, or
Like what's something bad about them, I guess then?
well, something bad about them is just if you can only find a group on a certain platform, then like if that platform or that particular group turns out to be negative, like there's nowhere else for you to look.
So I guess what you're saying is that like you wish that like social media was like less mainstream and like there was people focusing on like real people and like real support and stuff.
Right, and I mean there's Instagram and stuff,
But that's not the same.
but like again, that's posting photos and
Of your bikini pictures and your whatever.
right, you're not gonna post a picture of you in tears.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's just weird. But one really good thing that social media has done is I have a friend who has cystic fibrosis, and if you don't know what that is, it's basically a disease of the lungs where mucus gets in there, and you essentially, if you have cystic fibrosis, you can't get in within 6 feet of another person that has cystic fibrosis, because otherwise you can swap like infections, and unlike normal people, if you get like a staph infection or if you get pneumonia, like those strains stay in your lungs.
Yeah.
They may not always be active, but they stay in your lungs.
Yeah, they build up.
Right, which is why you can't be within 6 feet of someone else, because you don't want to catch different strains. But on social media, it's allowed them to like support each other and still give helpful advice.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely like pros to social media, but they're not as like typical or as common as they should be.
Oh no, you have to seek them out for sure.
Or like they're just like the rare occasions.
Yeah.
Like when someone like fundraises like a GoFundMe and it does well and they can pay off things, or when someone gets the word out and spreads like positivity, I guess that way. And
Well, right, but even that, I'm a proponent of someone that says, oh, it only takes one person to start a movement.
yeah,
But if that movement only stays between you and your group of friends on Facebook, it doesn't really get the word out.
and also it's very hard to get it like out further.
Right,
Like you can only do so much. Like if people aren't willing to work with you.
right. I mean, I see businesses now have Facebook accounts, they have Instagram accounts, sometimes they have Snapchat, they'll have Twitter or Tumblr, and like they have to be on all these platforms just to get a wider audience. And having someone like you, there has to be someone in the company that basically just manages the social media, because it can be so time consuming.
Yeah. If you could change one thing about like how we know social media and like how it works, like if it was like a completely different platform, like I mean it could still have like the characteristics of like the platforms you already use, because like I don't really know what else you can do, but like what would it have? And like it wouldn't be like, oh, we're banning this, so like you are forced to work this way. It's like something that people would be willing to do.
Right, you know, we have Skype and we have Zoom, but we like, those are either getting outdated or people just don't use them. And I feel like if we could have a platform where we had support groups or like activism that like talked through video, and like you were in a group but you were
That's what I like that.
you were like physically, you were emotionally present but maybe not physically, other than your audio and face on a camera.
Yeah.
I think that would be super beneficial, because, but I almost feel like a face-to-face individual therapy, or a like online, or a face-to-face like group therapy or support group, like
People with a common interest or passion or
right, with the video and audio, I think would be very, very beneficial.
yeah, and like the thing is there's so many people in the world, like it's not like these groups would fill up, like someone will be willing to participate.
Right, and if you
And you'll be finding people you wouldn't find like just in your area. Like
right,
you'd connect with people like in different countries and states and stuff.
right, and also like if we had certain platforms that were geared specifically towards social justice or advocacy or different types of therapies, like you would know that the person or the people that go on that website are invested in that specific topic,
Yeah.
and they're not just going there to say, oh, everything's perfect.
Yeah.
You know, they really want,
Like a safe space.
right, and they really want to make change. Because I think the problem with most platforms nowadays,
It's very vague and very same.
right, because it's so broad, even with different groups, like, not everyone just goes on there for that group, so not everyone's as invested.
Yeah. There definitely needs to be like, I guess, more platforms that are geared towards exactly what you're saying. Because like, yeah, Facebook you can find support groups, but they're not like only for support groups. People are like doing a bunch of other things on that website. So like, there's definitely something to be said about like what you're suggesting.
And I mean, it would be hard because it would essentially be individual online companies, you know, providing these groups that are like individually monitored and supported. But I feel like that's the next step.
No, I
honestly.
feel like you're really onto something, to be honest. Like I wish it was possible because it makes a lot of sense. Like we keep talking about like how social media is like ingenuine and like no one's honest and they only show you what they want you to see. But like with what you're saying, like you can still make those connections. It's still social. It's still media. But you're definitely using it in like a more proactive, like productive way.
And it's okay to have the platform that's just for fun, but I think,
No, yeah, but I feel like people use it wrong.
right, and so I think having more specific platforms for certain things on social media is going to be more beneficial in the future.
I guess one of the last questions is, I guess what's one thing that like you go through that like you feel people who maybe are only friends with you on Facebook or follow you on Twitter, like what do you think like is something that you don't tell them because you don't feel comfortable sharing, but it's something that you still like have to deal with?
I mean, honestly, I think of it has to do a lot with my cerebral palsy. Like, I'm open about most topics in my life, and like, if you ask me about cerebral palsy, like, I'll tell you things, but
It's not something you just want to be like, hey everybody.
right. And so I think, you know, if I'm gonna do that, it's either gonna be on social media or I'm gonna have to really trust the person
Yeah.
to go in depth about something.
Is there anything else you want to share?
No, I mean, I think it's also important to recognize that, like, even if things aren't always effective, you have to start somewhere in order to build off of that. So I mean, like, I think Facebook, Snapchat, Tumblr, and Instagram, and all those other platforms, I think they needed to be made in order to see the other benefits that they could potentially offer.
Yeah, like even the like creators and developers of these websites, like they have good intentions, but they don't really know what goes on their website.
Right. So,
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you for talking.
yeah, thank you. This was fun.